In an effort to meet its green technology goals and also solve its pollution crisis, China, being the world leader in the fight against climate change, has unveiled plans to create multiple carbon capture facilities at home, which will help clean its air and also reduce its emissions. Futurism, which reports this story, tells us that, quote, the most recent plan in the fight against climate change is to open 8 large-scale carbon capture storage facilities, with construction on the first already underway. The Yangcheng Integrated Carbon Capture and Storage Project, located in the Shanxi province, will be China's first investment in a facility that turns carbon dioxide emissions from coal into fuel gas plants. Once fully operational, it would capture up to 800,000 tons of CO2 every year, according to AFR Weekend. That's about the same reduction that could be expected by taking 80,000 cars off the streets for a year. So after going through that quote, it becomes quite clear that these carbon capture facilities are essentially a new way to make fossil fuel-based plants a little bit more cleaner and less carbon intensive. In China, despite its remarkable planned investments in renewable technology like solar and wind, etc., it still today sources most of its power, unfortunately, from coal. And as the Chinese government still is transitioning away from coal and towards green technologies, I'm sure the government's thinking something along the lines of, well, we'd love to source most of our power from wind and solar, but until that time comes and we're still unfortunately forced to generate a lot of power from coal, let's at least make sure that coal is being produced in the most environmentally friendly way and less carbon intensive. Now, I don't know exactly what the Chinese government's grand strategy is. However, I don't think that scenario is unthinkable. But Futurism has another pretty important quote that I want to share you with as it relates to alternative energy. Carbon capture facilities aren't the only proposed solution out there. Recently, there's been a surge in renewable energy sources, as evidenced by the growing reliance on solar and wind in a number of countries. These are also becoming more of an economic solution in many parts of the world, as well providing a wealth of job opportunities. CCS plants, on the other hand, may prove to be too costly for some countries. However innovative and interesting these carbon capture facilities may be, one problem is that they're currently out of reach for most countries. As it currently stands, China, the United States, and Switzerland are the only countries set to actually have one of these in the next few years. But that might not be actually the biggest problem, considering that renewable energies are progressively becoming more viable, more used around the world, and in many cases, the price of solar, for example, is already cheaper than coal and oil, which is partly why many economic advisors serving in several governmental administrations in a number of countries around the world just don't see coal or oil as viable as they used to be. And this is exemplified by China with its $360 billion investment in green tech by 2020. So while this carbon capture facility technology is very interesting, I think the whole purpose of it, to sum up this whole video, is essentially that as China and other countries maybe source most of their power from renewable sources, whatever amount is left from coal and oil, for example, will be done in the most cleanest and less carbon intensive way possible. So there you have it. Every effort matters in the fight against climate change, whether it's a new form of renewable technology or a mechanism to ensure that fossil fuel extraction is less carbon intensive. Now, if there's anybody out there who knows more about these carbon capture facilities than I do, and I'm sure there are a bunch of you out there, please further enlighten me on anything that I didn't cover in this video and that you think is important. Now, another thing to consider, do you think these types of facilities are worth investing in? Should countries like Canada and maybe other oil producing nations around the world do their best to ensure that oil extraction is at least as clean as it can be? I'd very much like to hear what you have to say about that. Please like and subscribe to this channel if this is the type of content you're interested in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.